Hey, good morning. Happiness is a choice. Today on 7 a.m., we're going to be talking about that and more. So stay tuned. Good morning, everyone. All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. It is April 8th, 2021. It is 7 a.m. And had a good day yesterday. Went to New York City. I live in Bayonne, New Jersey. Um, and didn't really leave much Bayonne, New Jersey, obviously, for the last year. But I've been to New York now 4 times, 4 or 5 times, something like that. And it's an interesting place now, New York City. If you've grown up there and you've walked around the streets a lot, like I did, especially in Manhattan, you could see the differences, and it's an interesting place now. I'm hoping that the people will prevail in that city and make it what it was, the beautiful city that it is, and I'm I'm hopeful that it will be that again. I think right now things are very challenging, but I think it'll be. I think we're gonna be good. So anyway, that's where I was yesterday. Had a good time. Was covered up with a mask pretty much almost all the time when I was there in the city. Um, and it was a lot of fun. I had a great day yesterday. Okay, so happiness is a choice. Is the title of this today, and I think one of the conversations that I have with people sometimes is the that happiness is something that you're looking for that something else on the outside is going to bring to you. That's always like a thing, I'll be happy as soon as I can get that thing resolved, or as soon as I can get that job, or find that partner in a relationship, or pay down this debt, whatever the thing may be. It always falls into happiness, and you're attaching something like that to happiness, which is a complete false. Happiness is an inside job. I'm sure you've all heard that before, and it is a choice. You make that choice, and you make it every morning, and you make it every second, and whatever adversities you run into, you have to decide, okay, how am I going to approach this? Going to handle it? Am I going to let it overtake me, or am I going to decide that I'm going to resolve this and then move on to happiness and continue being happy? Well, those are the challenging elements of happiness, right? There's a lot of different components. Sometimes you have to not only find happiness within yourself, but you also have to find happiness within a spouse or a partner. You have to find happiness within your job, what you're currently doing, within your hobbies. You have to find happiness within your friends, um, within your environment, your neighborhood. All these things equate to what a happy person would be, right? Or should be, right? And all those pieces always move, right? People say, well, you have to adjust to your environment, and that's not the way it is. You have to make your environment adjust to you. You have to get the environment to adjust to you. How do you do that? Well, happiness. When you're happy inside, out here, it's not really, it doesn't matter where it is. I grew up in the South Bronx, right? And I remember having a tremendous time in the South Bronx, a lot of happy memories. Sometimes I talk probably a little bit too much about the the rough times, or the things that I witnessed, which was true and very uh, traumatic experiences, some of them. But I also remember a lot of fun and a lot of great times with friends and family. And that is it was a choice. You're there, you're in that environment. You have to decide for yourself, are you going to take this situation and make the best of it and be happy in the situation and try to work your way out of it if you're not happy there? Or are you going to just become a victim and decide that you cannot leave, you cannot do anything because of the environment, you cannot be happy, and it's the fault of you can blame anybody, right? People blame a million people. They blame the government, they blame their partner, their spouse, their family, their upbringing, their environment. They'll blame whatever they can to not take responsibility. But the one thing that you can control is your your inner decision, that decision that you make. You say, you know what, I'm going to handle this, I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to handle this. But it comes first from that decision. Now I have 6 things here that I'm going to go over, and these 6 things are things that I've borrowed from somebody that I follow a lot, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I follow him a lot. um, the narrative that he has is pretty much what I follow, not because of him, but because that's just the way it always has been. And I saw his content, and I was like, oh, that actually aligns with how I feel. Um, and so I'm going to go over these 6 things, and you have to look at these, and you have to look at them honestly and say, am I doing this, or do I fall into these? And I still look at these all the time, and I still say to myself, well, yeah, I need to do more of this, or more of number 4, or more of number 5, and once you start really analyzing, maybe analyzing is the wrong word, but once you start really internalizing it and making it become you, and it becomes just innate, it's just part of your body then, and you don't really work on it as much. Then you start working on the actual production and the actual doingness of what you want to actually get done in your life, right? So number 1 on this list here is people, and I spoke a little bit about this particular one a couple of episodes, a couple of shows back. People's opinions don't matter. Now, here's a tough one, because you start looking at people's opinion as something that can drive your life, and the opinions of people, not only friends, right? Because we're looking at friends, but I'm talking about family members, spouse. Their opinions really don't matter, and a personal story for me is my wife and I. We've been married 18 years, and she will say things to me. And in the old days, in the past, when we first got together, I used to take it a little bit more seriously, and I used to actually make it like it was an opinion that mattered of some sort, and it did not work. I had nothing but pain, and um, uh, I was not successful. I was not achieving goals. I was not going in the direction where I should go in. And it wasn't her fault. It was just that she just thought that this was the right thing for her to say, and it was just an opinion that she had. But at the end of the day, people's opinions don't matter whatsoever. So once you start realizing that, and you can take them, you can listen to them, but they don't matter, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to decide your next step. You're the one that has to decide if you're going to allow that opinion to sway your decisions and to move you into an area that you really didn't want to go in. You see? And because at the end of that tunnel, there is no tunnel. At the end of that, there is no light. There is no happiness at the end of listening to people's opinions and shifting your viewpoints because of them. You have to have a very, very solid foundation on what your goals are, on how you want to do them, on what you want to do, the things that you've written down in your book, and you've documented things, and you things have worked. That's another thing, right? If you've actually been doing something and you've been operating a certain way, and it's worked for you for a very long time, and someone comes in with an opinion who's not lived that life and who's not been part of that success, then you've shifted, you've changed your path. You were going on a really nice thing. You were feeling like you were just in control of your life, and it happens a lot with marriages, right? You have a man and a woman get together, get married, And one of them decides that he's going to, go quit his job and go back to school or whatever. And she says, well, you shouldn't quit your job. We need the money. And he's like, yeah, I guess you got a good point, you know. But before that, he would have just done that. He would have gone to school. That was his right item. That was his thing that he wanted to do. It shifted because of her viewpoint. I'm blaming her, right? Typical man. But vice versa, right? It goes both ways. So it is something that's really important for you to look at when it comes to people's opinion and who you have in your environment that's giving you those opinions. All your loser friends are just going to make you more of a loser. So sometimes you have to shed some of those people that you've known for a very long time. You have to say, listen, I'm really sorry. It's not, I know we've known each other for 30 years, but I can't not be with you right now. I cannot hang out. I'm trying to accomplish this thing and you're just sucking the life out of me. So either you stop doing that or we're just not going to be able to see each other anymore. Now, that might upset about a bunch of people, but either way, it's fine. Either way, they're going to get upset and leave and not hang out with you. Success. Or they're going to understand and be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to change my views. Success. Or they decide, all right, well, we won't hang out too much then. Success. You know what I mean? So you're good. All right. Number two is expectations. Never expect too much from anyone. That might sound like, like you don't want to hold people accountable. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people expect others to help them or to do things for them, at such a great degree, or at least they feel they deserve a certain level of help or support in some way. And that expectation is really always gonna break your heart. I've had so many expectations on things that I've done. I've poured my heart and soul. I've supported different groups. I've supported different people. And at the end of the day, I got nothing in return. And it was because I was expecting too much. I was expecting I was going to have a really successful business or a job or a well-paid gig or something. My fault. My fault. My expectations were way too high and I should have just focused on what I was working on, and that's it. And once you don't have any expectations, you don't get hurt. You kind of like understand. You're like, all right, no problem. I'm going to still do my work, but I'm not going to have that as like I need to have that or that's my expectation. Number three is perspective. So you need to have a good perspective on what you're doing and where you are, where you want to go, and also what you currently have, right? Because a perspective can be that person's perspective can be different from that person's perspective, right? Your perspective could only be your perspective, right? And your perspective could shift based on things that have happened in your environment, things that have occurred, right? Experiences can change a person's perspective, right? They could look at something a little bit different. They could say, well, maybe that's not the way I should have been looking at it. I should have been looking at it from this angle instead of that angle. And that's where perspective comes in. And it's extremely important to have a good perspective on what it is that you're doing and those people that are around you and what your goals are. All that stuff is really important. Number four is something that you really have control over, and you're the only one that can really control this one. Number four is a simple one that we've all heard a million times: hard work. Hard work is the one thing that you can get up in the morning and decide that you're going to do that day. And you can do that every single day. And the more days you get up that you decide this hard work mentality, the closer you are to actually achieving your goals. It's the one thing that you can really control, right? Because people's opinions don't matter. Well, you can't control someone's opinion, right? They're going to give them to you anyway, right? But you can't control how you address it and how you internalize it, how you hold on to it or let it go, right? Expectation. You can't really control what somebody else does, right? Somebody's expectations is just what it is. And blah blah blah, right? Thank you. I appreciate that I'm being heard. Thank you. Good morning. So that is expectations. Perspective, you can control your perspective on things, but it's going to change out there, right? Things are going to change out there and your perspective might change because of something that happened out there, right? So it's really difficult. You can control all these things, but they do have an outer thing, an outer world that you have to kind of attach to, right? Hard work is just you. It's your physical body. It's your mind, writing down your plans, your goals, and then going out and executing every day for the amount of time that you've allocated toward to that thing, and just go out and work. And that's the one thing you can really, really control as far as activity and action, right? And moving the needle towards the goal that you're trying to reach. Number five is gratitude. Now, gratitude is something that can be a little tricky, because there's a two-step thing to, oh, it's divided into two things, not two steps. It's divided into two sections. There's the gratitude of where you hear people say, listen, just be grateful for what you have. Don't try to get any more than that. Be grateful for the job you have. Be grateful for the roof over your head. You have food on the table. Your family is healthy. Just be grateful and move on, right? That sounds nice, right? But why should I not try to strive for more? Why can I not be grateful for everything I have and decide that I want to be more successful, that I want to have more? I want to have a better roof over my head. I want to have better food. I want my family to remain healthy. I want a better career. I want to make more money. I want to have a nicer car. I want to have a nicer guitar collection, right? um that's just the havingness that you want. You want to have nice things, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It gets tied into this thing called gratitude, where you should just be grateful, and that's it. Give it up. Everything else is you shouldn't really reach out for more, because you should be grateful for what you currently have. That's the completely untrue. You don't want to take things for granted, they say here. Don't take things for granted. Absolutely, be grateful for what you have. Don't take them for granted. Um, know that what you have is because of some past work that you've put in. You've been able to actually achieve this, and understand that. And I totally always look back, and I talk to my wife about this all the time. I say, look where we were to where we are. Look where we were to where we are. Remember a year ago? Remember 2 years ago? Remember remember 10 years ago? I've been with my wife now. We've been together 20 years, married 18. I said, remember where we were 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, when things were still kind of rough, right? When my daughter was born, 11 years ago or 10 years ago, it was things were rough during that period. So I always make sure that I keep a good perspective on where I was to where I am, right? And the gratitude, I'm grateful for having what I achieved so far, but I want so much more. So you can't tie gratitude into just enough and not doing any more, and just being grateful and move and just being happy with what you have, and not create. I want to flash that on the screen. Create. Absolutely, 100%. Always you want to create. That is part of it. It's about, you create a relationship, you create the job you want, you create the future that you want. You have that power to control that. And it comes from the things that I spoke about earlier: not caring about people's opinions, not having expectations on people that you think should do something for you, right? It's great when people do something and they work together and they want to help you, and they're out there, but when you have these high expectations, you have to look at where that's coming from. Perspective, having good perspective, hard work, and then of course gratitude, which we just covered, right? And the last one, number six, what I talk about a lot, is positivity, right? So I just came from New York yesterday, and I got to be honest, I was not positive when I got into New York City. I've been there about four times since the pandemic, and to walk in the World Trade Center, that beautiful monument that they created there, and to walk in there and to see everyone masked and walking, it's sad. It's sad, but I had to think positive, because there were so many people that were out. There were people that were still eating out, and there was people out. There were things that were still happening, that made me happy. So I had to kind of shift, and I have to try to find positivity in that. And it wasn't easy, but I did when I left, I felt better. When I actually went to my church. I did some services there, and I felt good when I left. And I had a much different perspective of what I actually ran into when I went out, and it made me feel hopeful was the word. And seeing that things, the human race is very resilient. You can throw things at it, and it's always going to find ways to keep moving and keep creating and keep doing things. And I know that that's going to happen. And there are people out there that are bad, right? People that are trying to suppress everything. But at the end of the day, good people will win. Now, how much bad the bad will do, that's the question. We have to try to stop them from doing those things. But um, good will win. How do you think will design? How do you think will design your future? How do you think will design your future? So if you think will design your future, yeah, how you think will design your future. Now I got it. Sorry, so you were asking me a question. Um, how you think will design your future? Absolutely, absolutely. Your mindset is really what's going to drive your success, and all these things over here relate to mindset. When you think about it, people's opinions, expectations, perspective, hard work, gratitude, positivity. That's your mindset. When you have a good mindset, solid mindset, you will create a beautiful future. You'll design that future for yourself. It is a powerful, powerful tool, your mind. When you understand that there are parts of your mind, one particular part, that's really you need to resolve and confront. It's the part that makes you feel insecure and maybe negative and not confident to do things. Um, when you realize that and you can rise above it and you can get information, that's when you get a beautiful, beautiful life, and you get things that make you happy, and you get to have a nice, uh, cool frappuccino on a hot day. I don't know what that means, but seem like that's just a nice thing. A nice cold frappuccino on a hot day. That is success. If anyone is interested, I do have these Way to Happiness booklets that I've been giving out and mailing out to people. If anybody would like an electric copy via email, it's the same exact thing via an email if you don't want to carry around a booklet. Um, and I have the actual booklets themselves. I still have a few left. So you can actually just send me an email right over here. Send me an email at johnhenrysoto at protonmail.com. Please write in the title, The Way to Happiness. I get a lot of emails, and if I see this on the title, then I know that it's somebody from the show. So, and I want to thank you for that. I've sent out quite a few so far, and had a very nice lady come here and pick up a couple of them. Her name is Dorothy, and she was very sweet. She listens to the show. Hello, Dorothy. And she wanted a couple so she could send out to some people. And I thought, oh, well, let me give her a couple, and I gave her 3 or 4. I can't remember, and she's gonna send those out. So that was very nice, and she came with gifts for the kids, and just very nice experience meeting her here in Bayonne, New Jersey. So, all right. So there's the email for anybody. Um, and I'm going to head out. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and for commenting. Thank you very much for commenting. Again, it says Facebook user. I have a feeling I know who it is, but I don't like to guess at that until I end the show, and then I'll thank you personally. But thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate it. Um, All right, folks. Happiness is a choice. The choice is yours. And I know you have it in you because we all do. Thank you very much. Peace out. Make today great. Do the things that you love. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.